10 things to know before you go to Boston. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. This video is part of my series of things to know about great cities in the world, where I tell you everything you need to know to visit, including how to get in, how to get out, what to eat, what to do, and even where to stay. But in this video, I'm talking all about Boston. So first, let's start with some general information about Boston. Boston is the capital of the U.S. state of Massachusetts. It is in New England, which is the northeast of the United States. The nickname of Boston is Beantown because the early residents of Boston really loved to eat baked beans baked in molasses. But by the way, nobody here actually calls it Beantown anymore. Visiting Boston is like visiting a history class in person. Boston is the cradle of much of the United States' history, including playing a significant role in the American Revolution. It has the first public library in the United States and the first lighthouse. Boston is a city of neighborhoods with 23 distinct neighborhoods, so there's lots of different character around the city. You'll find a ton of parks. Public green space is 17% of Boston. You are never more than a half mile from a park. It's a very compact city, so compact that actually 13% of the citizens here commute to work by foot, giving Boston the highest percentage of pedestrian commuters in major cities in the United States. The second thing to know is about the top attractions in Boston, and Boston's biggest attraction, it's the Freedom Trail. It is a 2.5 mile trail through Boston that goes through 16 of Boston's major historical sites. There's a red brick line that you can follow along, and it'll bring you to FENWAY Hall, the Paul Revere House, and the Old North Church. If you're coming to Boston and you're gonna do one thing, take a walk along the Freedom Trail. If you take the Freedom Trail to the end, it'll take you to the north end, the home of Boston's Little Italy district. Make sure to get a cannoli from Mike's Pastry or Modern Pastry. Get lunch or get dinner. The Italian food here is really good. The next big attraction is where I'm standing. It's Boston Common. It is the United States of America's first public park. It was founded in 1634. It's a big grassy open space. There's a big parking garage underneath it, so if you're looking for some place to park because you're driving into the city, you can park in here. And oh, by the way, if you're looking for something to eat, and I'm going to talk about food later, but because I'm standing right by it, there's an Earl of Sandwich in this little kiosk right here, which is one of my favorite sandwiches anywhere. Check out the Earl's Club. It's a really good hot sandwich. And right next to Boston Common is the Boston Public Garden. This was the United States' first botanic garden, founded in 1837. And while Boston Common is better for a picnic or lounging around, the Boston Public Garden is better for a stroll or a jog. Pretty neat garden. It's got a lake in the middle of it, and it's got this iconic bridge right here. If you're a presidential history buff, you'll want to check out the JFK Presidential Library, all about the life of the 35th US president. It's a little bit off the beaten path, but if you like presidential libraries, you should definitely check out this one. Beacon Hill, which is just on the other side of Boston's Public Garden, just behind me, is known as Boston's most beautiful neighborhood, known for its charming, narrow cobblestone streets, Federal-style row houses, and gaslit street lamps. To get there, if you're in Boston Common, walk through the Public Garden, cross that bridge that I showed you earlier, and just go down Beacon Street. In about a quarter of a mile, you'll be at Beacon Hill. Sports fans will want to make a pilgrimage to Fenway Park, home to the Boston Red Sox, built in 1912. It's the oldest Major League Baseball stadium still in use today. And back to the Freedom Trail. I'm going to be doing each scene in this video at a different spot along the Freedom Trail. So if you're kind of looking to follow along, start here in Boston Common at the Visitor Center. Actually, if you go into Google Maps and you just type in Freedom Trail, you will find it. And if you're looking for the walk, well, you can just follow the tourist hordes that way. If you don't want to do it by yourself, you can join walking tours. There's often neatly dressed people that'll stand out around here that'll be happy to guide you on a walking tour for a few bucks. But Chris, where's that red brick line you were talking about? It's right here. It starts at the Visitor Center, and you can follow it right along this way. Can I follow it backwards? Oh, this will probably be dangerous. And the third thing to know for Boston is about food. Boston is a foodie city, and there's a lot of great food in Boston. Where should you go to get great food? Well, it's touristy, but it's a mecca for food. It's Quincy Market. It's Boston's original food hall. It has 35 different vendors, and some people might say it's an expensive food court, which it is, and it can get really busy. But it's a great option if you're doing the Freedom Trail, because it's kind of along the way, and you can stop in and get a lot of tasty treats. But what should you definitely eat when you're in Boston? Well, you should definitely eat the seafood. The seafood in Boston is amazing, and what do I have here? I have a lobster roll, and I have a Boston chowder, a New England clam chowder, which is a white chowder. We'll look at that in a moment, but lobster is particularly famous in Boston and the New England area. And lobster rolls often come in two varieties. This is a cold lobster roll. I'm going to show you a hot lobster roll for the next meal, but the cold lobster roll, it's on kind of what looks like a hot dog bun. It's chilled lobster meat, mayonnaise, and it's also got some lettuce down in there. So let's dive into this. So there's a lot of lobster meat in it. Sometimes when you get lobster rolls, they're too heavy on the mayo. There's lots of big chunks of lobster in here. The roll's really good. It's buttery. The lettuce, I wouldn't even know it's there. And washing this all down with the lemonade. This was $26 from the Wicked Lobster Company, which is also the same as the Boston Chowder Company. So let me dive into this New England chowder. The chowder's really good. It's creamy, it's flavorful, it's got that clam taste, it's got potatoes, it's got lots of great ingredients in it. Honestly, I like the chowder better than the lobster roll because I'm not a huge lobster fan, but I do think you do have to get the lobster rolls when you're here. 2 pro tips if you're coming to eat at Quincy Market. First, come at off hours. If you're coming for lunch, try to get here before 11:30 or after 2. And there's seating upstairs. Walk up the stairs and find the seating up here. It'll be way less crowded than the seating downstairs. Now, if I seem slightly less than excited about that cold lobster roll I was just eating, well, it's because last night I had an amazing hot lobster roll at Yankee Lobster Fish Market. This is down in the Seaport District, so it's a little bit off the beaten tourist path, but they specialize in lobster rolls at this place, and the hot lobster roll was $26. It came with french fries, but it was lobster and butter and the roll, and it was truly delicious. So the lobster roll cost more at Yankee Lobster, but it was actually quite amazing. So if you find yourself in the Seaport District, check out Yankee Lobster. So at this point, you must be thinking to yourself, isn't there something else other to eat than lobster rolls and clam chowder in Boston? Yes, there's a ton of other things to eat other than lobster rolls and clam chowder. Seafood in general is really great. You'll find a lot of seafood restaurants with more than just lobster. The Italian food is amazing. I mentioned the end of the Freedom Trail in the north end, great place for Italian food, but you'll find great Italian food around the city. In addition to Italian food, Boston is known for Italian pastries, in particular cannolis. There are 2 places that are famous for cannolis, Modern Pastry and Mike's Pastry. So I got the cannoli here from Modern Pastry. They kind of wrap it up nice in this box and put this little string around it to make it so I guess you don't like eat it too much as you're going home. So I got to destroy this and get to the cannoli. And here we go. The traditional one is $3.75. They make it as you order it, so the shells are separate and the ricotta is separate. They have a whole bunch of different flavors and variety. I just like the traditional, which is regular ricotta, powdered sugar in this. Let's dive in. That's really good. I mean, if you didn't know this was ricotta cheese, you wouldn't know it was cheese. It's really amazing. Ever since I had these in Boston like 10 years ago, from Mike's Pastry, the other one, I've been looking for cannolis that are just as good, and I cannot find them. Except maybe in Italy. So, even if you don't like cannolis, I suggest you give one of these a try. It really might change your mind. You should know about Dunkin' Donuts. Boston runs on Dunkin' Donuts. Why is that? Because Dunkin' Donuts was actually started here in Boston. And yes, it seems like there's a Dunkin' Donuts on almost every street corner. Dunkin' Donuts, in addition to being known for their donuts, is also really well known for their coffee. One thing you won't find in Boston is happy hour. Happy hour is illegal in Boston. There is actually a law that prohibits restaurants and bars from selling timed deals on alcoholic drinks. So if you do come after work, what you'll find deals on food, but you'll never find a timed deal on alcoholic beverages. The 4th thing to know is about getting into Boston. Chances are, if you're flying into Boston, you'll be coming into Boston Logan Airport. Where is it? Well, you can probably hear the plane above me right now. That's the financial district of Boston, and just across the harbor right here, Boston Logan Airport, it's just right there. It's 3 short miles from the financial district of Boston, which makes it really easy and convenient to fly into and get into the city. So how do you get into the city from there? Well, you got a few major options. You can take the subway. There's the blue line. You have to take a little shuttle bus to take the blue line. There's also this thing called the silver line, which is like a hybrid bus subway. You can take that to South Station, the main station in Boston, and then go from there. The best part about taking the silver line, it's free for passengers arriving at the airport. If you're taking Uber, Lyft, or taxi, it'll cost you about $30 to get from the airport into the city. Even though it's not very far, there's tolls and also taxis in Boston. They're notoriously expensive. Or if you want to do something more unique, you can take the MBTA Harbor Express. It's a ferry that'll take you across the harbor to downtown Boston in just 7 minutes. It's really convenient if you're staying in the Seaport District or the Financial District. Another great way to get into Boston is to take the Amtrak train. You can take Amtrak from New York City. It'll get you to Boston in just 4 hours. You could also take Amtrak from Portland, Maine, also 4 hours to Boston. If you're driving from New York City, it takes a little longer. It takes 5 hours. The fifth thing to know is about getting around Boston, and navigating Boston is kind of like navigating a maze. If you don't have some kind of map, you're gonna have no hope because none of the streets here run straight. And so if you are trying to drive in Boston, it is a nightmare. Don't do it. Don't drive in Boston. None of the streets are straight. They're all one ways, and they always seem to be one way in the way that isn't the way that you want to go. And also, if you haven't heard, Boston is famous for this thing called the Big Dig. It's like the most expensive highway project in any city in the US, and it has all these tunnels that go underneath Boston. Super hard to navigate. You know, Google Maps doesn't get GPS down there, and so it's just hard. Don't drive in Boston. I warned you. Now, if you are crazy enough to drive, you'll find very limited street parking in Boston. Where you will find parking in parking garages, parking will be about $50 a day, and expect to hear car horns a lot. If you don't step on that gas as soon as the light turns green, people will be honking at you. You can also take the subway to get around. The subway in Boston is the United States' first subway, built in 1897, and yes, it smells, feels, and sounds just like it. It is not the smoothest subway. Actually, it's quite bumpy, but that's part of the charm. Rides are $2.75 a ride. The subway lines are color-coded. There's 4 main lines: the red line, green line, blue line, and orange line. You can buy a 7-day T-Pass, or you can buy a reloadable Charlie card. Fares are $2.75 each, but you get a 50-cent discount if you buy the Charlie card. Though I will say it's often faster to walk than wait for a train if you're going around downtown Boston. You can take the bus. There's plenty of buses that run around downtown Boston, and there's a particularly interesting one known as the Silver Line, which is kind of a bus-subway hybrid. That's the one that I mentioned that you can take from the airport into the city. There's a lot of water in Boston, so consider ferries and water taxis as an option for getting around. And you'll find Uber and Lyft to be plentiful in the city, taxis at the major hotels. Though the best way to get around is with your own 2 feet by walking. With downtown Boston being just 2 square miles, most of the tourist attractions are packed into a very small area, so walking will be your best friend. Though I will point out, the streets and sidewalks have a lot of cobblestones and bricks, so ladies, be aware if you're wearing high heels. The sixth thing to know is when to go. Summer is peak tourist season. That's June, July, and August. That's when it's the busiest. That's also when it's the most popular. Locals will recommend coming in fall, September, and October. There's less people here, the leaves are starting to change color. That's the quintessential Boston season. Now, you could come in winter, December, January, February. The hotels will be a lot cheaper because nobody will be here for good reason. It is really super cold. Winter is coming. Actually, winter comes to Boston, and it's a significant winter every year. I warned you. Spring is also another very pleasant season temperature-wise, though spring does bring a lot of rain. The biggest holidays in Boston, number 1 is St. Patrick's Day. The second, not a holiday, but a big day, the Boston Marathon. And then every year on December 16th, they reenact the Boston Tea Party. The seventh thing to know is about the language. And now you might be thinking, Chris, don't they speak English in Boston? Well, they do, but there's a really thick Boston accent, and there's a really interesting New England slang in this region. So the Boston accent, not everybody has it, but when you hear it, you'll definitely know it. So now let me talk about some of the slang so that you know what it means. The first one, wicked pissa. If you hear something's wicked pissa, that means it's really good. You saw me eat at that wicked lobster, that means it was good lobster. And actually at that restaurant, they took off the R's at the end and ended them with A's. The Boston accent and slang typically really doesn't pronounce the R's, so lobster becomes lobster. Chowder becomes chowda. Now some more unique words, if you're looking for a liquor store, that might be called a packy. If you're looking for a sandwich, they call it a grinder. And if you're looking to eat dinner, well, that might be supper. Oh, and then Dunkin' Donuts that I mentioned, the short for that is just Dunks. The 8th thing to know is about Wi-Fi. The city of Boston has a metropolitan Wi-Fi network called Wicked Wi-Fi. I mentioned wicked means good, so this is like really good Wi-Fi. And if you're just walking around the city, you'll see signs that say Wicked Wi-Fi. Just look for the SSID, Wicked Free Wi-Fi. The 9th thing to know is about hotels. Boston has a lot of hotels, but it's an old city, so many of them are old and historic. What's that mean? It might mean that air conditioning and elevators might not be standard in your hotel of choice. So if air conditioning and elevators are important to you, well, make sure to check that before you book, particularly in an Airbnb. And the 10th thing to know is about universities. Boston is a college town. More than 20 colleges call Boston home, and the most famous ones, Harvard and MIT, they're actually not technically in Boston. They're across the river in Cambridge. This river, no, the river that's over there. But it is worthwhile checking out Harvard and MIT. I've been to both, not on this trip, but on previous trips, and I went to MIT to the bookstore to get a t-shirt that says MIT. Why? So I can wear it around, and then when people ask me, Chris, did you go to MIT? I can say, I absolutely did, to the bookstore to get this t-shirt. But the great thing about all these students here, it makes for a lot of cheap eats and a lot of nightlife and a lot of kind of 20-something friendly activities. So if you find yourself in that age group or just someone who likes cheap eats, which I am, then you will enjoy Boston because there's over 140,000 students that call Boston home. Well, another thing you might want to know is I've got more things to know videos. If you're planning to go to New York City or you're planning to go to Washington, D.C., you might enjoy checking out my videos on those. You'll find links in the description as well. I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in one of those videos.